A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Good morning. There are only 26 letters that make up the alphabet. But these letters can be combined in many different ways to make up millions of words. The same goes to atoms. An atom is the smallest unit in all matters. Atoms can combine in order to form millions of molecules. What is atom? What is molecule? Let's look at today's lesson to understand more.
The content standard is classification of elements. At the end of this lesson, you are able to conclude that all matter consists of atoms, differentiate between atoms and molecules, as well as elements and compounds. Last lesson, you have learned that matter consists of small and discrete particles, and these particles are atoms. Atom cannot be seen with our naked eyes because its size is too small. It can only be seen using an electron microscope by enlarging the atom to 1,000,000 times. Atoms are extremely tiny, much too small to see, yet they made up all the world, including you and me. Examples of atoms are carbon and helium. An atom is made up of 3 types of subatomic particles, which are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons form the nucleus in the center of an atom, while electrons move around the nucleus with a very high speed. Protons are positively charged. Electrons are negatively charged, while neutrons have no charge. The nucleus has an overall positive charge because it contains positively charged protons. The number of electrons in an atom is equal to the number of protons. Therefore, an atom is electrically neutral because the negative charge of the electrons cancel out the positive charge of the protons. If the number of protons is not the same with the number of electrons, therefore an ion is formed. The number of electrons more than the number of protons, a negative ion is formed. If the number of protons more than the number of electrons, then a positive ion is formed. Atoms can combine chemically to form molecules. Molecules are neutral particles made up of 2 or more atoms. A molecule can be formed from the same type or different types of atoms. For example, oxygen molecule is made of 2 oxygen atoms. So, oxygen molecule is made of the same type of atom. And water molecule is made of 1 oxygen atom and 2 hydrogen atoms. Therefore, water molecule is made of 2 types of atoms. Next, let's look at other examples. A carbon dioxide molecule is made up of 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. Therefore, carbon dioxide molecule is an example of molecule that is made up of 2 types of atoms. Hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas molecule is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms. So, this is an example of molecule which made up of the same type of atom. Next, let's learn about elements. What is an element? An element is a pure substance that cannot be broken down into any simpler substance by any physical or chemical method. Zinc, hydrogen, oxygen, iron, and carbon are examples of elements. Elements are made up of only one kind of atoms. For example, zinc is made up of only zinc atoms. Elements are formed from atoms or molecules of the same kind of atoms. For example, hydrogen gas is formed from hydrogen molecules which consist of the same type of hydrogen atoms. What is a compound? A compound is a substance made up of two or more different elements chemically combined together in a fixed ratio. Therefore, properties of a compound is usually different from the elements it is made up of. Compounds can be found naturally or can be produced in a laboratory. For example, water. Water is a natural compound. Water is formed from water molecules that are made up of two kinds of elements, namely hydrogen and oxygen, which are combined chemically together. Carbon dioxide is formed from carbon dioxide molecules that are made up of carbon element and oxygen element that combine chemically together. Other examples of compound are ammonia and sodium chloride or common salt. Different from element that consists of only one kind of atoms, compound is made of at least two kinds of atom. For example, sodium chloride is made up of sodium atom and chlorine atom, so there are two kinds of atoms in sodium chloride. Next, let's answer a few questions. Are these atoms or molecules? These are atoms. Are these atoms or molecules? These are molecules that made up of two atoms of the same type. Are these atoms or molecules? These are molecules that made up of two types of atoms in a molecule. Is this an element or a compound? This is an element. Is this an element or a compound? This is also an element. Is this an element or a compound? This is a compound. Is sulfur an element or a compound? Explain your answer. Sulfur is an element because the molecule of sulfur is made up of only one type of atoms and it cannot be broken down into any simpler substance by any physical or chemical method. Is methane an element or a compound? Explain your answer. Methane is a compound. Methane is formed from two different elements, carbon and hydrogen, that are chemically combined in a chemical reaction. That's all for today's lesson. Thank you.